And now, from your local election headquarters, the only locally produced political talk show discussing the issues that matter to you. This is Big Country Politics on KTAB.
Thank you for being here for this week's edition of Big Country Politics. I'm Victor Sotelo. Let's get straight to our national news. The House of Representatives adopted 2 articles of impeachment last week against President Trump, the first impeachment vote in 21 years. In contrast, President Trump last week, immediately after that vote, rallied his supporters in Michigan.
Article 1 is adopted.
The House voted largely along party lines to impeach President Trump on 2 articles, abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. Democrats argue the president pressured Ukraine to announce an investigation into his political rival, Joe Biden.
We're talking about a president who subverted national security by soliciting foreign interference in our elections, the exact thing our founding fathers feared.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi solemnly opened the 6 hours of debate earlier today, which also unfolded along party lines.
His actions warrant his impeachment and demand his removal from office.
I am proud to have fought against this charade every step of the way, and I will proudly vote no today.
Republicans closed ranks to defend the president and criticize Democrats.
It's about power. Donald Trump has it, and House Democrats want it.
President Trump is only the 3rd president in history to be impeached by the U.S. House of Representatives, and a senior administration official tells CBS News the president is upset about what this will mean for his legacy.
The president railed against the impeachment at a rally with supporters in Michigan.
They've been trying to impeach me from day one. They've been trying to impeach me from before I ran.
The White House says it is ready to go however, whenever the articles of impeachment reach the Senate. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
And 2 Democrats broke with their party and voted against Article 1, and 1 Republican voted in favor of it. And although there is a lot of talk about impeachment, not many people understand the actual process. Local political professor Dr. Paul Fabrizio with McMurray University breaks it down for us.
The Democrats in the House of Representatives has the votes to impeach him, goes to the Senate. The Republicans in the Senate have the votes to not convict him. So as a consequence, the end of this looks like it'll be the president will be impeached but not removed from office.
And checking in on local politics from your election headquarters, City Councilman Weldon Hurt announced his candidacy for City Council Place 4 once again. If reelected, this will be his 2nd term as City Council. He says focusing to continue to build up downtown along with the downtown hotel, as well as some more concrete projects.
You've got to be there, get ready to do the work. You're always going to hear about the street problems, things like that. I think we're going to see a lot of good street repair happening over the next year. But I'm just really honored to serve and do this again.
Hurt will officially file January 15th. The election is slated for May 2nd. The next story takes us to downtown Abilene. As the heart of the city grows, so does the need for parking. So whether you're catching a show at the Paramount Theater or grabbing a quick cup of coffee at Monk's, you're probably familiar with downtown parking and the difficulty it brings. Our Kevin Clack explains.
Every day, Kai Castleman sees customers hunt for a parking space to come to her coffee shop in downtown Abilene.
It's hard for customers especially to want to come downtown because they're going to have to park like a block or 2 away just to walk in and get a cup of coffee.
Customers like Janet Mendenhall also have to keep an eye on the clock.
So if I'm at the coffee shop and it's only 1 hour parking and I've got work that I'm trying to do or writing that I'm trying to do, that's inadequate. So I'm forced to either go out and move my car or park far away to find a place that might be longer parking.
Kai has even seen people break the rules and take a chance at parking in a private lot, but it hasn't ended well.
Just trying to remind them that towing is now enforced, and we've seen several people get towed and have to pay like $300 or so to get their cars.
Assistant City Manager Michael Rice says the city hears these concerns and have started a downtown operations workshop to alleviate the complaints.
There's no doubt that there's insufficient parking downtown. So the whole purpose of this was to see how we can increase the number of spaces to provide some relief for that pressure.
Verity Hardin, events manager for the Paramount Theater, said even pay to park would be a good idea.
I'm a big advocate of metered parking. I might be the only one, but at least with a meter, you know, you can just keep feeding the meter and stay as long as you want.
Yeah, it's not very accessible. I mean, people make it work.
But she wants more than just people to make it work. She wants her customers to be comfortable. In Abilene, with coverage you can count on, Kevin Clack, KTAB News.
As of now, this is just a downtown parking workshop. Exact dates of when the changes are implemented are soon to come. As the United States-Mexico-Canada trade agreement appears finally to be headed to approval in Congress, the White House says Americans should expect a further economic boost from the deal, but some economists say the boost may not be that noticeable. KTAB's Anna Warnicki is in Washington with more.
Monica Crowley with the U.S. Department of Treasury says the United States-Mexico-Canada trade deal is a win for everyone.
We've taken the bad trade deal of NAFTA, brought it up to date, modernized it, and strengthened it.
Crowley says Democrats, Republicans, and the White House all support the deal. But she says the biggest victory is for the American workers.
Hundreds of thousands of jobs for the United States. And that is going to be an incredible boost to the U.S. economy, which is already strong.
A report by the U.S. International Trade Commission says if USMCA passes, there will be an economic boost. But Michael Mandel with the Progressive Policy Institute says it won't be very noticeable.
What we have is top-line numbers that look really strong, but people don't feel as good as the numbers say.
The report says the trade deal is expected to boost the U.S. economy by less than 0.4%. That's about $68 billion.
We won't know until we see it. It's a funny situation because it's actually not a new treaty, it's replacing something that already exists.
Mandel admits that any boost in the economy is good news, especially for the industries hit hard by the recent tariffs and trade wars.
Any type of trade deal would be a plus for manufacturing and for states that are dependent on manufacturing.
About 2 million manufacturing jobs depend on trade within the North American market, so we really need to get that over the finish line.
The House is expected to vote on the USMCA trade deal as early as this week. In Washington, I'm Anna Warnicki.
And still to come on Big Country Politics, the future of the old Taylor County Jail. An in-depth conversation with County Judge Downing Bolls about that building. We're back in 2 minutes.